What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another Cryptid Saturday, and in today's video, we are going over the cryptids of Missouri. I did manage to find a few that I hope you guys find kind of interesting, but before we get into this article, guys, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video from me, as well as drop comments down below. Have you guys seen any of these cryptids? Have you guys ever heard of any of these cryptids? Is there anything you would like for me to do a deeper dive on in the future? Please drop the comments down below, and let's go ahead and get into this article. Okay, guys, like I always like to say, I don't memorize these articles. I simply use them to push along information. This particular article is coming from foxmagazine.com. That's kind of cool. So please go over there and show them some love. This is the Cryptids of Missouri. Momo the Missouri Monster. In the summer of 1972, a tall, dark, hairy creature terrified a family and shortly thereafter became a celebrity in the town of Louisiana, Missouri. As Rost explains in a webinar for SHSMO, Momo was first seen by 8-year-old Terry and 15-year-old Doris Harrison in their backyard near what is today called the Marloff Hill Park in Pike County. According to an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch from 1972, the creature was about 6 feet tall and stood upright on 2 feet. It gave off the putrid odor of mold and old garbage, and his growls sounded like a bear. Terry Harrison was playing outside when he spotted the creature standing near a tree, so he screamed and ran inside. The scream alerted Doris Harrison, who peered out the window and saw Momo too. When the parents arrived home, and a search party of local law enforcement, highway patrol, conservation agents, and even politicians set out to find the monster to no avail. But the legend was far from over. The story reverberated through the community. Other sightings alleged Momo stood 12 feet tall with a pumpkin-shaped head, red eyes, and a scream growl that lasted several seconds. One teenager claimed that Momo lifted up his car with superhuman strength while the teenager was sitting inside it. Momo accumulated national press coverage and brought visitors to Louisiana to see Momo for themselves. Once a monster, Momo became a booster for the small town and an iconic symbol for advertisers. It even inspired the Momo the Monster ride at Six Flags, which ran from 1973 to 1974, according to the Post-Dispatch. It's just so fascinating to look at newspapers from the time and people embracing Momo. Roos says, you could go to the local diner and get a monster burger. Oddly enough, the Harrisons didn't capitalize on the encounter. Instead, the Harrison kids and their mother initially refused to return to their house, Ross says. The appeal of Momo was short-lived, and sightings dwindled by the end of the summer of 1972. Local officials believed the creature to be either a bear or local teenager mischief. Regardless, Momo the Missouri Monster achieved celebrity status. What do you think you're doing, huh? So that's kind of a fun one. The fact that the town is using it to kind of draw in tourism really doesn't give me good credence to think it's actually a real thing. I do believe it's what they said. It was either like a bear or some teenagers. Although the teenager that got his car lifted, that could have been a Bigfoot. I don't know. It takes a lot to lift a car, if that was true. But since it's coming from a teenager, it probably was just the teenager trying to capitalize on the fame. But it is kind of sad though, because that family was legitimately so scared of whatever happened that they refused to go back to their house. So, I really don't know. I think it was a bear. Honestly, it was probably just a person. But please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. The Ozark Howler. John Patrick Fay, a Missouri resident of 19 years, didn't expect to lock eyes with a cryptid when he went to explore the Route 66 ghost town of Plano this past April. While in the town, he looked across a nearby field and spotted a large black cat. Fay says the cat was about 6 feet long and 4 or 5 feet tall. It moved like a wildcat, like a panther or jaguar or cougar, Fay says. This cat was a giant cat, and it was out of place. The creature looked at Fay, but he wasn't unsettled. Rather, he admired the creature until it wandered off. Fay says he has always been intrigued by cryptids, but he had to research the big cat to identify what he claims to have witnessed. I believe in those kinds of beings, Fay said. I had just never heard the folklore of the Ozark Howler before. The Ozark Howler, also called the Devil Cat or the Black Howler, has been spotted roaming around the Ozarks in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. The quadruped is shrouded in mystery as many eyewitness accounts disagree about its appearance. It's been described as a big cat with glowing eyes, but other accounts detail a dark creature the size of a bear with a thick body, stocky legs, shaggy hair, and horns. Its howl, which Fay did not hear, has been described as a combination of a wolf and an elk. Deep, guttural. Witnesses have reported a feeling of dread after hearing it. Descriptions resemble the Scottish legend of the Cúsith, a mythological wolfhound that takes human souls to the afterlife, according to the Unlock the Ozarks project, a website that aims to document the area's storied history. The howler lets out three horrifying bays that can kill the listener. Reports of the Ozark Howler have been recorded since the 1950s, but more recent sightings surfaced between 2005 and 2010. Skeptics attribute the legend to a real feline of some kind, but wildlife officials have said that a large population of cougars should not exist in the area, according to Explore Southern History's Guide on Ghosts, Monsters, and Mysteries of the South. So that one's actually a rather interesting one. Honestly, I think they're wrong, and it is probably a population of cougars that they just aren't registering that are actually there. Cougars can be very secretive, and their howls sound crazy. Like, go look up what a cougar like yell sounds like. And you can definitely see where that would attribute to some kind of like a howling thing. Also, I think they were actually mistaking pigs for some of the sightings. Probably some of the ones with horns. That kind of makes sense to me because the pig's tusks can grow out, and they said short, stocky, and built. So people that aren't used to seeing wild pigs, that also seems interesting. But yeah, so far I think that is actually just a legit cougar. And black, I don't know if there's actually been a documented case of a melanistic wild cougar. But if there is, that would explain a lot. And I mean, there's lots of myths about Black Panthers all over the United States. There just hasn't really been documented sightings. Um, and I think there might have been one to kind of retract that statement a little bit, but I can never find what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. There's just a lot of like fan-made things out there of Black Panthers. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hornet spook lights. Okay, I don't know if this is going to classify as a monster or a cryptid, but it's on the site. So we're just going to go ahead and read this one. Off the sides of small dirt roads along the Missouri-Oklahoma border, paranormal fanatics can try to catch a glimpse of bouncing orbs of light in the distance. They're better known as the Hornet spook lights or Joplin spook lights. It's a modern-day legend that dates back 125 plus years, Bruce says. In the pitch black of night, the Hornet spook lights have been reported to change colors, bounce up and down, travel at high speeds towards onlookers, and even appear inside or around the observers' cars. The epicenter for the spook lights is down a path in Joplin, which locals call the Devil's Promenade. The Joplin City website recommends directions for finding a spot down East 50 Road, about 1 to 2 miles into Oklahoma. Sightings date back to the 19th century, where Native Americans along the Trail of Tears reported witnessing the glowing orbs. As the spook lights lit up more during the 1930s and 1940s, Kansas City Star reporter Charles Graham investigated the phenomenon. He suspected the lights were simply car headlights due to the road that overlaps East 50 Road, but it was out of sight to viewers on the state border, according to Ross Webinar. After extensive experimentation, Graham concluded that the orbs were indeed from car headlights, but many locals aren't convinced. For one, it doesn't explain the sightings of the spook lights before automobiles were invented. Folklore interprets the lights as spirits of the dead who met tragic ends along the road, with some stories describing the lights as ghostly lanterns from a headless Civil War soldier or a woman who died after being trampled by a horse. Skeptics have theorized that the lights could also come from natural gases rising, electrical charges in the atmosphere, or simply lights from a nearby town, though not enough evidence has surfaced. We'll likely never know the whole truth behind Missouri's most mystifying creatures and places, but we know one thing for certain: these stories, no matter how embellished or exaggerated, connect to Missourians across county lines and generations alike. Yeah, they kind of hit the nail on the head, to be honest with you, with what those could be. But I think also maybe ball lightning, because it does get like hot and dry, and that's the perfect like combination of where ball lightning would actually come into play. So that's my other thought on that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think it could be. But there you go, guys. There was some of the cryptids and just kind of cool stories of Missouri. Please let me know if you guys have witnessed, heard of, or like had any kind of influence with these particular ones that we went over. And like I asked before in the beginning, guys, please remember to hit that like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those notification bells. And I will see you guys next Saturday for Cryptid Saturdays.